محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم. Recite another salawat, please. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. For the love of our beloved Prophet and his beloved progeny, please recite a second loud salawat. For the hastening in the return of our beloved 12th Imam, please recite a third final loud salawat. The topic that we'll be discussing inshallah tonight and tomorrow night is the topic of appreciating and understanding the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a very important topic. Of course, when we hear the title of this topic, it seems like there's not much to say about this. Of course, we know that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us blessings, then you're supposed to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. But like any other teaching of Islam, everything that Islam puts its hand on, puts its finger on, you go into it, you see it's a lot deeper than the first thing that meets your eye. There's more that Islam is trying to tell you about this concept, as well as any other concept that Islam talks about. Yes, amongst ourselves, in our societies, in our cultures, everyone knows that you're supposed to thank someone if they do something good for you. If they do a blessing for you, you know that you're supposed to thank them. But Islam is not here to tell us only things that we already know. This is something that everyone understands. No, Islam is here to take us a little bit more deeper, to give us a deeper understanding of this concept and any other concept that Islam also speaks of. There are 4 questions that hopefully we want to respond to inshallah in tonight's talk. Number 1, why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps asking us to remember His blessings? Over and over and over again in the verses of the Quran, left you go, right you go. He says, this is the blessing I gave you, that's that blessing I gave you. When it comes to the Muslims that were living at the time of the Prophet, I did this for you, I did that for you. Remember that time you had nothing and then I did this, I did that. Even sometimes when it comes to the Prophet himself, he keeps telling him, you were like this and then we did this for you and because of this we raised you. What's the point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to make? Why does He emphasize remembering the blessings that He has given us? That's question number 1. Question number 2, why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps reminding us of all the good things that He has done for us when He Himself has taught us not to do that when it comes to others? When we're younger, right? What are we taught? We're taught that when you do something good for someone, don't go around and tell other people. In fact, don't keep reminding that person over and over again. Every time I see Brother Ahsan, I say, oh, you remember I did this for you? Next time I come, remember I'm that same one that I did that for you, remember? This is what we call minnat or mannat or whatever. It's different names we call it. In Farsi we call it minnat. The Quran calls al-manna. In Arabic it's called. If this is a bad thing, then why is it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps reminding us of all the great things that He has done for us? Not just in passing, but in detail, over and over again. What's the difference when He does it and when we do it? That's the second question that we have to answer. The third question that we have to answer is this: why is it that when we look at the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we want to thank Him for these blessings, when you look a little bit closer, you find that these blessings are full of deficiencies? And this might come as a surprise to some of us because we're not used to hearing this. The blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us in this world, they're full of deficiencies, they're full of imperfections. You would expect that if He's perfect, the blessing that He is going to give to you is also going to be what? It's going to be perfect. But when you look at the blessings that we have in our lives, no, there's a lot of imperfections in them. And I'll explain this a little bit more in detail. Why? Why is it that something that's coming from someone who's perfect is imperfect like this in our lives? That's question number 3. And question number 4, what is the biggest mistake that we make when we want to apply this principle of thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His blessings, when we want to apply it in our lives, what is that biggest mistake we make when it comes to appreciating and observing the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? 3 of these inshallah we'll get to tonight, 2.5, and then 1.5 of the questions, the last question particularly, we'll discuss inshallah tomorrow night. Recite a salawat please. So we'll start from here, of course, giving thanks to someone because of the blessings that they are giving to you, because of the favors that they are doing for you. It's a universal principle. I don't need to teach you about this. You don't need to teach me about this. We all know this. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim or you're not Muslim. Doesn't matter if you're atheist or you believe in God. Doesn't matter. Everyone understands this. When you're leaving the Walmart or whatever, I don't know, grocery store you guys have here. It's a Kroger, I think you guys have. Walmart, my bad. Walmart. When you're leaving, someone holds the door for you. You know that you're supposed to do what? You're supposed to say thank you. Especially if you're a minority. You know that, right? That if you're a minority, either it's your skin tone that's giving it away, like some of our brothers. Maybe for me, it's my beard that's giving it away. Maybe for our sisters, it's their hijab that's giving it away, that they're a minority at the end of the day. People are even more sensitive when it comes to this issue, especially in today's society, here in the US especially, that they're waiting to see how you're going to react when they hold the door for you. And God forbid, it's one of those places that has multiple doors, right? Then you have to say thank you, and then thank you again. And you have to say it loud enough to make sure that they hear it. Why? Because if they don't hear it, and they walk away thinking that you didn't thank them, it's such a bad thing. It's a universal principle. That's why in the verses of the Quran, when Musa alayhi salam came to Fir'aun, he said, you know what, this whole empire you have, it's going down. You have to send Bani Israel with me. I'm going to take them with me. Arsil ma'ya Bani Israel. I'm going to take these guys with me. You know, the first thing that Fir'aun said was, he didn't say, I don't believe in you, like, give me a miracle. No, he didn't say any of that. What did he say? He said, Musa, this is the way to thank us? We raised you in our house, in our castle. You used to be part of our family. Now all of this that we did for you, this is the way to thank us? So you see, it's a universal thing. Even Fir'aun is expecting you to thank him for the blessings that he has given you. It is so fundamental, actually, that Islamic theologians, Islamic scholars, they say that this idea of the blessings that we have in our lives, this is one of those things that sparks the whole idea of religion. See, when you look at historians, they will tell you that religion has always been part of the life of the human being, in one shape or form or another. It's always been there. The human being is always asked this question: is there something going on up there or not? Why? Imam Khomeini, he says one of the reasons is this: because the human being sees blessings in his life. He wants to see who gave these blessings to him. Who is he supposed to thank for these blessings? That's why he even starts asking the question, does God exist or not? That's why he even starts looking into religion and Islam, or whether it's any other religion or any. That's how fundamental this concept is. If I wanted to give you an example, imagine, God forbid, you have a friend. This friend of yours has a very rare illness, sickness. And you go to the doctors, and the doctors tell you, they say, yes, there is a cure, but it's very expensive. Insurance covers it? No, insurance doesn't cover it. $200,000 you have to pay for this. It's experimental. Insurance doesn't cover experimental. So you're stuck, you don't know what to do? Imagine, this is just an example, it's not a real story, right? Just an example. Imagine you get a call one day from the doctor's office to say, you know what, you can bring in your friend. Say, why? Someone came and paid your $200,000 bill in full. What's the first question you ask when you get that call? Who on earth did this big favor for me? Huh? You won't stop there. For the next 20 years of your life, you're sitting there, you're like, I gotta find out who that guy was. What was his motivation? Why did he do it? Because I didn't own anything from him. He didn't owe me. I didn't have any rights when it came to him. He just did it out of the blue. I want to figure out why he did it. Imam Khomeini says this same reaction is the reaction that every single one of us has. If we're not too busy with our life, we look into our lives, we see we have some blessings at the end of the day, at the very least. I have an arm that moves, I have eyes that move, I have an intellect that works. Who gave me these things? He says this thing is that question that sparks the intellectual journey of the human being to figure out if God even exists or not. Recite a salawat, please. So we understand how fundamental this is. Thank you very much. Recite another salawat, please. We understand how fundamental this is. Any culture you go to, any country you go to, they will tell you, you do something for someone, that person should thank you for his blessings. Okay, let's move on to the answer to the first question. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep reminding us left and right over and over again, I did this for you, I did that for you? What's the point behind this whole thing that He has going on in the verses of the Quran? Very beautiful hadith. This is a hadith Qudsi in which Prophet Dawood was speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, and this is my paraphrasing, this is my wording of course, not the wording of the hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Dawood, you need to do a favor for me. You have to take care of something for me. He said, what is it? He said, Habibni ila khalqi. Do something so that my creation will have love and affection for me. They will direct their love and affection towards me. I need you to do this. He said, Ya Allah, I understand. You want to move forward? Recite a salawat please and move forward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya Dawood, I need you to do this favor for me. You have to get people to love me, have affection towards me. I'm their creator, I've done all these things. He said, okay, Ya Allah, I get it. You want them to love you and that makes sense. I have a problem. What's the problem? The problem is that I own my own heart and my own emotions. So when it comes to myself, I can make sure that I will love you. I will direct my affection and love towards you. That makes sense. But you know, Ya Allah, I don't have control over the hearts of these other guys, like these other people. I don't have control over them. How am I supposed to make them fall in love with you? He said this, and this is the basis of our whole discussion, brothers and sisters. He said, listen, all you have to do is this. ذَكِّرْهُمْ بِالنَّعْمَاءِ. Just remind them of the blessings that I have given them. If you remind them over and over of the blessings that I have given them, then slowly they will fall in love with me. Their love and affection will come towards me. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left and right in the verses of the Quran, He keeps telling you and me, this is what I did for you, that's what I did for you. And God is not shy about it, not even a little bit. Like if you're a good person, you're a little shy to bring up the good things that you have done. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not shy at all. Like He tells the Muslims, He's like, listen, you guys are Muslims and everything, Muslim community is going well. This is after the Prophet had come, everything has settled down, everyone is unified. He keeps reminding them, listen, you're the same guys that used to fight 10 days ago, 20 days ago, a couple years ago. I'm the one who brought your hearts close to one another. I'm the one who أَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. I'm the one who did ta'lif. Ta'lif means when you bring something together, right? I'm the one who did that. So this Aus and Khazraj, those famous two tribes that they had, these guys used to fight. They used to fight so much in such a bad way. What they used to do is that if one of them had a problem with the other one, it would not be a one-on-one issue. If that was the issue, that would be fine. What would they do? One of them had an issue with the other one. That one would go call his whole tribe. This one would come and call his whole tribe. And then the whole tribes had an issue at this point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remember those times where you were إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً, you guys were enemies, and then I brought your hearts together. And then again, He's not shy at all. He says, you know what? In fact, no one can bring your hearts together. Only I can do it. You can pay as much money. This is in the verse. It says you can pay as much money as you want. But at the end of the day, the thing that will bring the hearts of two people close to one another is what I do. I am able to do this. He's not shying away from any of this. And then you say, okay, well, that was the Muslims. Maybe when it comes to the Prophet, he won't bring up all this stuff. Maybe he'll just be like, yeah, Ya Rasulullah, we're cool and we've done a lot of good things. Or you already know, we don't need to tell you. But no, even when it comes to the Prophet, left and right, he keeps telling the Prophet, this is what we did for you, that's what we did for you. There's a verse of the surah in the Quran called Surah Al-Dhuha. Dhuha, say, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. Dhuha means daytime. In a rough translation, daytime. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by the daytime, and by the nighttime, إِذَا سَجَى, when it comes. Okay. Then when you continue down those verses, you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts to speak to the Prophet, reminding him of all the things that he's done for him. He starts from here. أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى. You don't remember the days that you were an orphan? فَآوَى, and then he gave you shelter? No, I did that for you. If it wasn't for us, you would have been an orphan like the thousands of orphans that were there in the Arab community at that time. You were nothing without us. أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. You were lost. We were the ones who guided you. وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. You were poor. You came from a poor family. We did all of this and now you have a whole empire in your hands. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have any of this. فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. You've been like that, so then when someone comes to you with that situation, and of course we know the Prophet wouldn't do this, and this is more addressing us. But you see the point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not shy away from the different blessings that He has given us. Even when it comes to the Prophet, in detail, He's talking to the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, we did this, you did that. One of the verses, and I'll mention this first and we'll move on. One of the verses where the tone is just so frank is this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya Rasulullah, if it wasn't for us, you would not know what mal kitabu wala al-iman. You would have no idea what is kitab, the Quran. You had no idea what the Quran is, wala al-iman. You wouldn't even know what faith and iman and all this good stuff that you talk about. You don't know what this stuff would be if it wasn't for us teaching all of this to you, right? He says, وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ رُوحًا مِّنْ أَمْرِنَا. We sent down a ruh. What is this ruh? Long discussion. Let's just say for now, it's one of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Angel, not an angel? There's a debate and a discussion on that issue. We'll leave that for later. We sent one of our agents towards you. He was the one who taught you all of this stuff. He was the one who taught you all of this knowledge that you have in your heart now. If it wasn't for that, مَا كُنْتَ تَدْرِي مَا الْكِتَابُ وَلَا الْإِيمَانُ. If we hadn't taught you this stuff, you would be lost like anyone else. وَلَكِنْ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُورًا نَهْدِي بِهِ مَنْ نَشَاءُ. But because we were kind, we sent this guidance and this light towards you. Okay, we understand that He keeps bringing up all these blessings, but we still don't have the answer to our question. The second question was, why? This is a bad thing. We are told that when you do something good for someone, you're not supposed to bring it up. You're supposed to forget it. Hadith says that when you do something good for someone, you're supposed to forget it. And if you did something bad against them, you should remind yourself over and over again about it. So why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself is not doing this? That's a valid question. Because anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do, He has done Himself. Because all of Islam is about becoming like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a discussion for another time. But all of Islam is your pathway to becoming like who? Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyways, discussion for another time. Why is it that He does it Himself then when it comes to us? Not only has He done it, in fact He talks about this concept of minnat in the Quran and He hammers it. So you guys do minnat. I'm not happy with you guys doing minnat. People at that time, they used to give sadaqah, and then after they gave sadaqah, they used to go humiliate that person and say, you remember I gave sadaqah to you? You were poor, you didn't have anything. And then verses of the Quran were revealed. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tubtilu sadaqatikum bil manni wal adha. Don't go around bothering this person, humiliating this person, and doing minnat on this person after you have given what? Sadaqah. Don't make your a'mal batil with this sadaqah. And then He doesn't stop there. He explains what this minnat does to your action. He gives an example, a metaphor. He says, sometimes people, they want to plant something in the ground so that this seed that they plant in the ground, it will grow into a tree or later on a garden and things of that nature. He says this person who does minnat, he puts his seed inside a little bit of dirt. This dirt is on a rock. Subhanallah. But before this plant can even grow or become strong, He sends a storm. He Himself sends a storm. This storm comes and takes all of the dirt with it. There's nothing left on the rock. The seed never even gets a chance to grow. This person thinks a plant is growing for him, a tree is growing for him because of the good thing that he did. But because He sent this storm, all of his good action, khalas, it's done, khatam, as you guys say, huh? It's done. This is what the verses of the Quran say. And then he goes on, he says, you know what it's like? It's like you're getting old, and many of the brothers and sisters here, once you reach a certain age, you're worried about your children, right? The future of your children, and you should be. He says, it's like, ayawaddu ahadukum, do you guys like to be like this guy? What guy? A person who's getting older, he's worried about his children, so he starts to invest in this garden and in this ranch, and he plants different trees in there, and he does so much work on this ranch and garden. And what he is thinking is that one point, if I die, God forbid, this ranch and this garden is going to be there for my children. But he doesn't know that he set his ranch and his garden on fire. With what? With minnat. He set it on fire. He's hoping that later on his children will benefit from this, but he's already set it on fire. How does that apply to minnat? You do minnat for something good you've done for someone, then you come on the Day of Judgment, it doesn't even pop up in your actions. That's why we have hadith. People come on the Day of Judgment, they're looking at their book, right? They're, like the where the actions are, the a'mal are, and they're going through it, they're like, I mean, it's not going to be an iPad, but they're going through it, they're like, no, I spoke weekend of Shahadat of the 4th Imam, I spoke in St. Louis, it's not here. It's not in my good actions. And then they will say, Ya Allah, you forgot. On the Day of Judgment, they'll say, Ya Allah, you forgot. I did that thing. And then the response will come, La yadhillu Rabbi wa la yansa. Your Lord doesn't do anything out of misguidance, and He never forgets anything. No, you ruined that action with that haram that you did afterwards. That's why it's not popping up for you anymore. Like, I went to Hajj, my Hajj is not popping up over here. You probably made a mistake. Can you run the card one more time? Says, no, that's we don't do mistakes over here. That was the other world. This world, we don't do mistakes. No, you ruin this. This is what the verses of the Quran say. When we do minnat on someone because of something good we did for them, you are hoping that that action is going to be there and it's going to grow into something that you're going to benefit from in the next world. But you come in the next world, it's not even there. It's gone. You set fire to that ranch or that garden that you were building. Okay, so we understand up until now that minnat is so bad that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even Himself is telling us how bad minnat. But why, Ya Allah, are you doing it? Still have the question. Hopefully we can find the answer to that question. Recite a salawat, please. Two points about this question. First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can speak about the blessings. Pay attention, because these are delicate points. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can speak about the blessings that He gives to you and me because of, number one, this. He owns all of that blessing. But when you do a favor for someone, you don't own all of that blessing. What does that mean? That means that when He does something good for someone, He can take all of the credit for it. But when you do something good for someone, you cannot take all of the credit for it. You say, oh, well, I did some hard work. Like, I had to actually go out of my way to take care of this. Excuse me, I did some hard work. It says, yes, I know you did hard. That's why we were going to reward you. But at the end of the day, you can't take all of the credit. Why? So I gave this money to this person. It's my money. So, well, how'd you get the money? I went to work. How'd you go to work? So, well, my brain, I sat there and I worked. With what body and what mind and what intellect? The body and the mind and intellect that I gave you. So you can take credit for it, but you can't take all of the credit for it, huh? That's why when it comes to other people, you can't sit there and say, oh, look at what I did for you. No, you don't own that action in its entirety. You own some parts of it, yes, and that's why He's going to reward you for it. But you don't own all of it. Yes, when He does things, He owns all of it. That's why He can go and He can brag about it. Of course, He's not bragging. We'll explain that a little bit more. This is just my wording that I'm using, right? My paraphrasing, of course. But that's the first point that we have to understand. Recite a salawat, please. Second reason why this minnat comes up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us of His blessings, but He tells us not to do it. This is the second reason. And this second reason, once we understand this, it will have a practical implication in our day-to-day lives as well. The second reason is this. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds others of the good things that He has done for them, He does it for the right purposes. When we remind others of the good things that we have done for them, we are trying to do what? We're trying to humiliate them. We're trying to put them down. Usually. Not all the time. Usually. Many times you go to someone, you say, this is what I did for you. In other words, you're saying, who are you to talk to me? He's saying the truth. What he's saying is true. But because you did something for him 10 years ago, you're not willing to accept the truth. You're going to put him down. You're going to humiliate him. You say, listen, stop talking. There was a time where you had nothing and I helped you. See, we do it with the wrong intentions and the wrong purposes in our minds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does it for what? So that we can fall in love with Him. Point on this side, and this is where I want to get a little bit practical. Therefore, if someone comes to you, or you yourself, you're going to speak to someone and you're going to speak to them about the great things you have done for them. If you are doing it with the right intention, this is not what we call minnats. Why is this important? Because a lot of times in arguments this will happen. A brother or sister will try to explain to someone else what they have done for them. The moment they open their mouth, this is what I did for you. Oh, how dare you? You're placing minnats on me? No, this is not necessarily minnat. Minnat means when you humiliate the person when you're bringing up these blessings. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does this all the time. He speaks of His blessings all the time. Why? Because He's doing it for the right purposes and the right reasons. There are times where you're just trying to explain to someone, brother, sister, I care for you a lot. I love you, I care for you so much. And then in order to prove it, you have to show them in action what you did for them. You say, listen, I love you, I care for you so much. There was a time when you were going through a hard time, I was there for you. You're just trying to explain. And then this person says, oh no, how dare you speak about all the good things that you did for me. You should have done all of these things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, I did them for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But also because I cared for you. Also because I loved you. Parents will have this discussion with children. Wives with husbands will have this discussion. How dare you bring up this? No, this person is trying to explain to you, if this is the case, if he's trying to explain to you how much he cared for you, how much he loved for you, if he has the right purpose in his mind. You cannot sit there and say, don't open your mouth, you're placing minnat on me and my family. No. In fact, I'm going to go one step further, because a lot of times we don't know what the intention of that person is. We don't know a lot of times. As long as you don't know, you don't have the right to point to someone and say, oh, he's placing minnat on me. That's haram. Because minnat is haram. When you accuse someone of doing haram without being sure about it, that is accusation, that is haram. Therefore, 90% of the time, you cannot sit there and say, this person is putting minnat on me. No, you don't know about the intention of this person. Yes, 10% of the time, you might be sure. It's very difficult to be sure about these things. You and I don't know what's going on in the heart of that person when he opens his mouth. But sometimes you say, no, Shaykh, I know for sure. Like some people say, no, Shaykh, I know this person. When he says this is what he means. Okay, if you're 100% sure, that's your call, that's fine with me. But most times, we are not sure. Recite a salawat, please. Alright, so up until now we had the answer to the second question. When he does it, he's doing it for the right purposes. That's why he can do it. And for us too, if we do it for the right purposes, no problem. If a husband or a wife want to sit there and tell each other how much they've done for each other, that's not a problem if they're doing it in the right way, with the right tone. I don't think I have to emphasize this. There's no way to emphasize this enough. The right tone and the right way of speaking to one another, oh, that goes a far way, very long way. The right tone and the right way of speaking to one another, right? Some of the brothers, they're laughing hard. But if that's the case, that's fine. Now I want to take this principle and we want to apply it to our lives. Pay attention, this is where things get practical again. Say, okay, Shaykh, you spoke for half an hour, you told us that we have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His blessings and all this stuff. And okay, we understand it, Shaykh. You take this principle, you want to apply it to your life. This is what our thought process looks like normally. Say, Ya Allah, let me thank you for your blessings. I've been through this multiple times. Say, Allah, thank you so much for your blessings. Ya Allah, thank you for this wife of mine. She's so nice. But then again, her akhlaq isn't the best. She does bother me sometimes. Ya Allah, thank you so much for this husband that you gave me. He provides for us, he protects us. But then again, he's not as good looking as I was hoping. Sometimes it's difficult to deal with him. Sometimes he wants to set the temperature at 60. I want to set the temperature at 80. That's a debate that every couple has had at one point or another. You say, okay, well, I'm happy with with what you gave me. And then you move on to your other blessings. Say, Ya Allah, thank you so much for this car that I have. But then again, the 2019 model is coming out. And mine is just the 2016. Ya Allah, thank you so much for this healthy body that I have. But then again, I have to pay him so much for insurance. Every blessing that you look at, brothers and sisters, the moment you dissect it, you start to find what? You start to find imperfections. You start to find deficiencies. You say, Ya Allah, you're perfect. Your blessings should also be perfect as well. But every single one of these blessings that you look at, they're not perfect. Yes, of course your husband or your wife or your son or your child, your uncle, your aunt, of course they're not perfect. So you're like, wait a second, if it's coming from him, why not give me something perfect? Why is this every little thing? And Islam, brothers and sisters, does not tell you to act naive. A lot of people think that Islam tells you to act naive and to trick yourself. Like you see something is not perfect, say no, Islam says no, it's perfect. No, it's not. If it's not perfect, I can see it's not. Islam is not in the business of sugarcoating anything. Islam is about reality. If you're a true Muslim, you see reality better than anyone else. That's how you know you are a better Muslim. Islam is not here to raise you as a naive person. You see so many issues with what you have and then you say, no, I'm wrong. These are perfect. That's not what Islam does. No, Islam also says, of course the blessings I gave you are not perfect. Of course. But why, Ya Allah, you're perfect? I was expecting something perfect from you. It's two reasons why the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are not perfect. Recite a salawat, please. The second reason is more of an answer to this question. The first one is a little bit a point that we have to remember on the side. The point that we don't remember, and especially in this society people don't remember, is this. Brothers and sisters, you're not entitled to anything. Like a lot of people think that when they're born as a human being, they should have the basic necessities of living as a human being, right? They're like speaking of human rights. Yes, human rights is a thing and it's important when you're dealing with another human being. Not when you're dealing with your master. When you're dealing with your master, you have no rights. I'm sorry. As sad as that sounds, you have no rights. You were nothing and he created you. Now you're talking about rights? Yes, when it comes to other human beings amongst ourselves, of course you have rights. That's why Imam Sajjad has like 1,000 rights. Recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says between you and another Muslim brother, another mu'min brother, you have like this right and that right. And the famous risala that he has, Risalatul Huquq. And yes, when it comes to other human beings, you have thousands of rights. But when it comes to God, you don't have any rights. You have to understand that. The younger guys have to understand that. Put that in your brain and remember that. You have no rights. You're not entitled to anything when it comes to God. Now, he's a just person, so he's not going to deal with injustice. He's not going to do injustice to you. He's not going to stop his mercy from you, withhold his mercy from you. He's not going to do any of this. But understand that you're not entitled to any of this. That's why the verses of the Quran say, these human beings talk like they don't remember the time where they were nothing and we created them. You know when you're nothing and someone creates you? That means you don't even exist and this person brings you into existence. Like a lot of us think when we talk about God creating us, we say, oh, God created us, so we're like sort of there before and then like He created. No, you were nothing. He brought you out of nothing. Now you're sitting there, you're saying, what are my rights? You have no rights. That's why even if He gives you the most imperfect blessing, although many of His blessings are very big, but even if He were to give you the smallest thing, you would still have to thank Him for the rest of your life. Why? Because you are not entitled to even that smallest thing. It's very logical. It's tough to hear the truth, but it's logical. We were born slaves, and we will die slaves when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, with other human beings, no. You're a free person and you have rights, and those rights are very important. Islam has placed a lot of importance. But when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you were a slave from the very beginning. You're going to die a slave as well. Now whether you understand that and you acknowledge that, that's up to you. If you acknowledge it, your life will go on better and easier. If you don't, that's fine too, but you're still going to be a slave. Recite salawat, please. If you understand, and if I understand that we were not entitled to anything, then when we come to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will really thank Him. Some people, they come to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, say, Ya Allah, Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. But they don't mean it deep down, right? Because they're talking about all those imperfections that the blessings have. But no, if you understand you're not entitled to anything, then even the smallest things that He puts in your palms, then you know you're supposed to thank Him, and you're really supposed to thank Him. That's the first point. But the second reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give us perfect blessings in this world. And if you and I understand this point, it will change the vision that we have when it comes to life in this world. Brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given us perfect blessings in this world because that is not even possible. This world is a world of limitations. There is no way you can have something perfect in this world. Doesn't even work like that. It's not even possible. Everything in this world is what? It's limited. Everything in this world has place, it has time, it has shape, it has form. All these limitations. You can't be in the same place or in two different places at the same time. It's a world of limitations. This world does not even have capacity to receive the perfect blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why none of His blessings are perfect. Because each and every one of them, the moment they want to come into this world, they have to be limited. And the moment something is limited, they're no longer perfect. Everything has to be limited in this world. That's why nothing from the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world are perfect. In fact, because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't really take pride in His blessings in this world. Pay attention. I don't want there to be any misunderstanding, so pay attention what I mean by that. You know, sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's very proud about some of the things that He's done. Of course, anything that He does is great, but sometimes He's super proud in the sense that He brings it up. He says, look at what I did. Sometimes, no, just doesn't really talk about it too much. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't speak of this world as some spectacular thing that now you're coming and telling Him, oh, by the way, your blessings aren't that great in this world. No, He knows that. From the very beginning, He called this world what? Al-hayatu dunya. You know what dunya means? Like the lowest. In fact, the ahadith say that this world is so, like it has no value in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So much so that He is willing to give it to someone who disobeys Him. The verses of the Quran, hadith, they say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, listen, this world is worth so little in my eyes, I'm willing to give it to the kuffar who knowingly reject my message. I have to give him something, I'll give him this dunya, because it's worth nothing in his eyes. And then you're sitting there and you say, by the way, your blessings are not, of course your blessings are not perfect in this world. Because this world is worth nothing in His eyes. The only reason why it's worth a little bit in His eyes is because it's a gateway for you to the next world. Yes, in that sense, it's very valuable in His eyes. But in and of itself, if your life was to end after 50 or 60 years, you think God is going to sit there and say, look at all these spectacular blessings that I... No. He knows this dunya is not worth anything. That's why, brothers and sisters, when you go to the ahadith, the Prophet, this was his approach. When his family used to tell him, listen, Ya Rasulullah, everyone else is so rich and so powerful, and you keep telling us we're going to turn into this empire and stuff, but it doesn't look like it. Your clothing is used, it's worn out, and you sleep on the ground like the poor people and all this stuff. You know what the Prophet would respond? He would say, listen, this is happening because God doesn't care about this world at all. If He cared about it, He would have given it to me. It's because it's so worthless in His eyes that He's not giving it to me. It's because it's so worthless in His eyes that He gives it to the kuffar. It's exactly what the hadith says. Pay attention to this. The wife of the Prophet came to the Prophet. Nama Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi ala hasir. Recite salawat, please. The Prophet, he was sleeping, and he was sleeping on a hasir. What is a hasir? A hasir is like a little mat that they used to make out of like branches and small pieces of wood. They used to tie them together. And of course, it's not as comfortable as that comforter that you have at home, right? It's like made of wood. Nama Rasulullah, the Prophet used to sleep on this hasir. فَأَثَّرَ فِي جَنْبِهِ. So it started to leave marks on the body of the Prophet. Okay. So the wife of the Prophet approaches the Prophet. Ya Rasulullah, هذا كسرى وقيصر في ملك عظيم. This is Kasra, Caesar, right? The head of Rome. Look at his empire. وقيصر, the head of Persia. Look at him. He has this great thing. But you, وَأَنْتَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ لَا شَيْءَ لَكَ. But you don't have anything. And you keep telling us we're going to turn into this big empire, and because that's the Prophet had responded to that. The Prophet had given them that promise that yes, a point will come, a day will come where we will conquer Persia and this side and that side. وأنت رسول الله لا شيء لك تنام على الحسير وتلبس الثوب الرديء. You sleep on hasir and then your clothing is like used and worn out and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense. فقال لها رسول الله. The Prophet started to respond to her. يا عائشة لو شئت أن تسير معي الجبال ذهبا لصارت. If I wanted the mountains to turn into gold for me, I would have been able to do that. So why, Ya Rasulullah? Why are you not doing that? It doesn't make sense. لو شئت أن تسير معي الجبال ذهبا لصارت ولقد أتاني جبرائيل بمفاتيح خزائن الدنيا. One day Jibreel came to me. In his hand he had the keys to the treasures of this world. ولم أردها. I said, I don't want it. Take it back. What's going on here? Doesn't make sense. ولم أردها. I said, I don't want it. Irfa'i al-hasir. Aisha, lift this hasir up. Maybe like this mat that we have in front of us. He said, pick it up. Look what's underneath it. Aisha says, فَرَفَعْتُهُ. I picked it up. فَإِذَا تَحْتَ كُلَّ زَاوِيَةٍ مِّنْهَا قَضِيبٌ مِّن ذَهَبٍ. I looked under it were coins of gold. Under this hasir. Then the Prophet continued, فَقَالْ أُنْظُرِي إِلَيْهَا يَا عَيْشَةَ. Aisha, take a good look at these coins of gold. What is the Prophet trying to tell her? إِنَّ الدُّنْيَا لَا تَعْدِلُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ قَدْرَ جَنَاحِ بَعُوذَةٍ. This world is so worthless in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not even worth the value of a bug in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not even worth the value of the wing of a fly in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how little He cares about it. ثُمَّ غَارَتِ الْغُضْبَانِ. Then those golds, I was looking at them, they started to disappear. Yes, of course the blessings in this world are imperfect because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't even care about the blessing in this world. These blessings in this world are just there to get you through this world. His real blessings, they're going to come. This is not the place for them. These are just for you to be able to survive, to be able to live so that you can get tested for a while, worship Him, and that's it. And then the blessings will start. It's not like God is proud and saying, oh, look at this blessing that I gave you and look at that blessing that I gave you. He's not saying they're perfect. No, of course they are imperfect. That's why Ali ibn Abi Talib, and with this I will end inshallah. That's why Ali ibn Abi Talib says this. He says this world is worth so little in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and because of that in my eyes, that if they gave me the 7 heavens and everything that is in the earth, for me to do a little bit of injustice, to see an ant that is walking with a little bit of wheat that it's carrying, you know how ants walk around, they're carrying a little bit of wheat or wood with them. He says, if they give me the 7 skies and the earth and they ask me to remove that wheat from the hands of that ant, to do injustice to that ant, I would not do it. Why, Ya Ali? Why? He says this. He says, because this whole dunya and everything that is in it, لَأَهْوَنُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ فِي فَمِ جَرَادَةٍ. Look at the metaphor he's using here. He says, it's worth less to me than that leaf that you find in the mouth of a grasshopper. You know how a grasshopper will grab a little bit of a leaf and just grab? You never run after the grasshopper. You're like, oh, bring back the leaf, I need the leaf. You never do that. It's like worthless in your eyes. Like, yeah, well, whatever, take it. Ali ibn Abi Talib says this whole world is worth that much in my eyes. In other khutbahs, he says this world, forgive me, this is the wording that Ali ibn Abi Talib uses. He says this world is worth the snot of a goat that's falling from his nose. That's how much it's worth for me. So yes, Of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His blessings in this world are imperfect, because everything in this world is imperfect. And that's why He doesn't care about this world. The only reason why He cares about it a little bit is because this is a gateway for the next world. That's why He cares about it a little bit. Just because you can live here, you can survive here, you have food to live, you have water to live, you can be tested here, so that the next world you can experience the real blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, if you looked at life just these 50 or 60 years, this 50 or 60 years is worth nothing in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't matter for Him. It's worthless in His eyes. That's why the blessings in this world are imperfect. Of course, the question remains as we move on. What is that biggest mistake that we make when we try to apply this principle to our lives? Inshallah, that we will discuss tomorrow night, inshallah. If the brothers and sisters can please dim the lights, we'll prepare, inshallah, to hear the masa'ib of our beloved third Imam. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, sallallahu alayka ya Ibn Rasulullah. We know that these days of Muharram, these nights of Muharram and Safar, every majlis is dedicated to one of the companions of Imam al-Hussein, one of the people who accompanied Imam al-Hussein in the tragedy of Karbala, in the caravan of Karbala. But Hussein also had companions that were not there with him in the plains of Karbala. Their hearts were there with Imam al-Hussein in the plains of Karbala, but physically they were not there with Imam al-Hussein. And even though they were not there with Imam al-Hussein, you could tell that every little thing that happened in the plains of Karbala, you could tell that maybe their hearts skipped a beat when those things happened on the day of Ashura. It's as if they were there with Hussein. It's as if they were there with Abbas. It's as if they were there with Ali al-Akbar. It's as if they were there when Ali al-Asghar is being martyred. They're not there in Karbala, but their hearts are with Abu Abdullah. And this person that we want to recite the masa'ib for tonight is no one but al-Baneen, the mother of Abbas and her other children. How do you recite the masa'ib of al-Baneen? Brothers and sisters, the masa'ib of al-Baneen starts when the caravan of the Ahlul Bayt start to return back towards the city of Medina. This caravan has gone through so much tragedy, so many difficulties, so many calamities. They have gone through the city of Kufa, through the city of Sham, and now they are being walked all the way back to the city of Medina. Just imagine the pain in the eyes and in the hearts of these women and these children the moment they start to see the city of Medina from far away. Maybe most of them are thinking, that's the city that we used to be safe in. That's the city that we used to be respected in. That's the city of our grandfather where people will respond to our salam. People will not take us as captives anymore. Just imagine as they are walking back towards the city of Medina. Maybe there are tears gathering in the eyes of these women and these children who have been on such a difficult journey throughout Mecca and Kufa and Sham and all the way back. They say as they came closer towards the city of Medina, the daughter of Imam al-Hussein, Kulthum, she started to recite poems under her lips. She started to recite Medina to Jaddina, La Taqbalina, the city of our grandfather. Don't welcome us back. There's no way you can welcome us back. فَبِالْحَسَرَاتِ وَالْأَحْزَانِ جِينَا. We have come with so many tragedies. We have come with so many calamities. We have come with so many difficult times that we have gone through. We have left behind so many people from this caravan. She continues with the poem. She says, those days when we were leaving Medina, we had all of our men and all of our children with us. Now that we are coming back, رَجَعْنَا لَا رِجَالَ وَلَا بَنِينَا. We're coming back. We have no one from our children. We have no one from our men anymore. Maybe Kulthum is talking about Abu al-Fadl Abbas. Maybe she's talking about Ali al-Akbar who went to the battlefield and came back in pieces. Maybe she's talking about Ali al-Asghar who was shot in the middle of the air with a three-headed arrow. Kulthum is reciting these poems as this caravan comes closer and closer. They say at one point Imam as-Sajjad pointed to everyone. He said, everyone has to settle down here. We're not going to enter the city. He sent someone inside of the city of Medina to tell everyone that the caravan of the Ahlul Bayt has come back after all of the pain and difficulty that they have been through. They have come back. They say people started to run out of the city of Medina. They had heard about the story of Abu al-Fadl Abbas, of Abu Abdullah. They started to run out, and amongst this crowd that is running out, You can imagine there's one mother who's running out also in this big crowd, and she keeps repeating to herself, Waladi Hussein, Waladi Hussein, my son Hussein. This is no one but Ummul Baneen. Ummul Baneen is running out to meet the caravan of the Ahlul Bayt. Just imagine that moment when Zainab and Ummul Baneen, they see each other from far away. They start to embrace each other maybe. Maybe they start crying. Two of these women who have been through so much tragedy and pain. Maybe a conversation starts something like this, where Zainab tries to tell Baneen about her son. Baneen, let me tell you about Abul Fadl Abbas. Let me tell you what they did to him on the day of Ashura. But Baneen doesn't want to hear about Abul Fadl Abbas. She keeps asking Zainab about all of the other companions. Zainab, I heard that they didn't give water to Hussein before they cut off his head. Is this true? Zainab, is this what they did to him? And then Zainab says, yes, this is true, Baneen. But let me tell you what they did to your son Abbas. Let me tell you what they did to your other children. But Zainab, Baneen doesn't want to hear about her own children. She says, tell me, is it true that they sent Ali al-Akbar towards the battlefield? They saw him walk and talk like the Prophet, and still they killed him and they sent back his body in pieces. Is this true, Zainab? And Zainab says, yes, this is true, Baneen. Let me tell you about your son Abul Fadl Abbas. Let me tell you about your other children. But Baneen doesn't want to hear about her other children. Zainab, is it true that Ali and al-Asghar asked for a little bit of water and they didn't give this 6-month-old not even a little bit of water? Is it true that Hussein held up this child in the sky and he asked them for water, but no one gave my Hussein any water for his child? Is this true, Zainab? And Zainab responds, yes, Baneen, this is true. Let me tell you about Abul Fadl Abbas. But Baneen doesn't want to hear about her own children. She wants to hear about Hussein and the tents. Zainab, is it true that after my Hussein became Shaheed, they didn't even have mercy on the women and the children? I heard that some of these children, their clothing was on fire on the 10th of Ashura, Zainab. Is this true that they burnt all of the tents that you guys had? These children were running around in the desert. They had nowhere else to turn to. Is this true, Zainab? And she says, yes, Baneen, this is true. Let me tell you about Abul Fadl Abbas. But Baneen doesn't want to hear about her own children. They say Baneen used to go around in the city of Medina. She used to sit in this corner, in that corner. She used to call out these poems, La tad'uwanni wayka Baneen. Don't call me Baneen anymore. I don't have any more children. All of them went to Karbala. All of them became Shaheed. They say that her masa'ib were so tragic, full of pain. Enemies of the Ahlul Bayt used to come and sit and used to cry with the masa'ib of Baneen. From this point on, Baneen is going to live a life full of tragedy, a life full of pain. What does a mother go through when she loses 4 of her children? What does a mother go through when she loses 1 of her children, let alone 3 and 4? The rest of the life of Baneen is never going to be a happy life. The rest of the life of Baneen is going to be a azab for the masa'ib and the difficulties of the plains of Karbala. Ala la'natullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants all of us the chance and the tawfiq to be amongst the true followers of the Ahlul Bayt, inshaAllah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants all of those who are sick and ill with health and afiyah, inshaAllah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all of those who are in this majalis and other majalis, that He grants them their hajat and requests, inshaAllah. And finally, last but not least, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He hastens the return of our beloved 12th Imam bin Nabiyyi wa alih. Rahimallahu man qara al-Fatihata ma'a as-salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.